Good morning. It's Monday, January 25th. Thank you for tuning in today. I'll be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Take Friday and Saturday off from this platform. We'll be at the church on Saturday morning with the worship support team, and we'll be recording the service for the following day, for the 31st. We've transferred the festival of the presentation of our Lord, that's when Jesus was brought as a baby to the temple, to that Sunday, so that because we often don't commemorate that event, and I'm trying to do more of that this season. So the recording, which we will do on Saturday, will be up by 10 o'clock on Sunday. And then, again, we'll watch the weather closely. I think it'll be warm enough and not too windy. I mean, we're looking several days out here, of course, but to gather at noon on Sunday for a mini pageant type skit, also around the presentation of Jesus in the temple, and to sing some hymns together. Stay tuned to these platforms, though, to emails and Facebook notifications, both from the church and from me, because sometimes these things change quickly, and as they did last week. I'm sorry, it was a good call, I think. It was very, very cold and very windy, so we didn't gather on Sunday. Tomorrow night, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, Zoom Bible study. Please let me know, or let the office know if you need the link to that. We're working on the second epistle of Peter. IT committee is continuing to meet on Wednesday evenings electronically, and we're tweaking our both hardware and software issues at the church. I think the services are coming out pretty well at this point, both in terms of visuals and audio. But we're going to continue to try to make that really solid and also simple for people, so we can have a bigger rotation of people who can do those recordings. Food sale of grinders, chili, salad, February 6th, and an in-gathering of food also for our hungry neighbors. All of the money raised from the food sale and the actual food itself that's gathered, that's noon to 2 that we'll gather the food and distribute the orders that you've put in for the grinders and so on. And all of that will go to support local food pantries. We've also started a new thing at our own parish. You may have seen it on Facebook this morning, but if not, go check it out. It's a little free pantry. I've seen these in other places, and it seemed like a good idea for us to try it. So there's basically a box that sits outside the office that will come in each night. We don't have to worry about freezing and animals and things like that, but it'll be out there during weekdays, 9 to 3. You can bring food to put in there if you want to be generous, and you can take food if you're needed. That's the way that, and we'll augment that with some other things for people who might be homeless, some mittens and socks, and maybe some toiletries, things like that. And if it is used much, we'll construct a little better, bigger one. But we want to see if it does in fact get used, and we hope it does, because hunger remains an issue for a lot of people, and our local partners are doing a great job, but having trouble keeping up with the demand. Okay, so I've been talking about, and a shout out to my sister, by the way, if you're out there listening. I stayed up past my bedtime to watch Patrick Mahomes get his ticket to the Super Bowl, so hoorah for the Chiefs. So I started talking about some of the larger non-congregational ministries. We talked about the companion synod partnerships, for example. So today I'm going to talk about outdoor ministries. And I'm going to use as a prayer one of our hymns. We have a section in our hymnal called Creation. It's got several hymns in it. And so this one is 734, and it's called God Whose Farm is All Creation. So I'll read the text of this hymn as a prayer. God whose farm is all creation, take the gratitude we give. Take the finest of our harvest, crops we grow that we may live. Take our plowing, seeding, reaping, hopes and fears of sun and rain, all our thinking, planning, waiting, ripened in this fruit and grain. All our labor, all our watching, all our calendar of care, in these crops of your creation, take, O God, they are our prayer. Amen. So, most church bodies have some kind of church camp experience that they provide for their members, especially for their children, and some for their families as well. And you can find these kinds of ministries on church websites, synod websites, or again, if it's a different denomination, a district website, a diocesan website, something like that. The Lutheran Church in America, the ELCA, has a very extensive network of outdoor ministries. And it's made a huge difference in our own family. I'll share a story or two about that in a moment. But I want you to make sure to understand a couple things. One is that it's not just about let's send our kids off for a week so they can have fun. There's a lot of fun at camp. But it's far more than that. Far, far more than that. So we have an outdoor ministry team here in New England, and the primary locus of their work is a camp up in New Hampshire. It's about halfway up the Maine and New Hampshire border in Freedom, New Hampshire, on Lake Ossipee. It's called Camp Calumet, and I was introduced to this when I was not long ordained. The camp we have here, and I think this model is probably used widely across the country, is really it's really two kinds of camps sharing a property. So Lake Ossipee is a gorgeous, beautiful lake for all kinds of recreation. I learned to kayak there, and you can see eagles and moose and things like that if you're in the right place at the right time. It's lovely. So the camp Calumet has kind of it's bordering the northern shore of Lake Ossipee. Are these cabins for kids to sleep in. I think 8 years old and up into junior high age, and so they have a whole program in normal summers when we're not dealing with COVID, of course. So kids go up there and they spend 1 or 2 weeks, and in the able hands of counselors and paid staff, and there's a chaplain for that side. And there's an outdoor chapel where worship is done each Sunday. There are, of course, all the normal things that you do at camp. There's boating, and there's archery, and there's pottery, and all kinds of games. And then there's the road that kind of goes around the lake, sort of separates that part of the ministry from the other part of the camp, which is just opposite across the road, which is for families. So these would be the kind of places where you'd set up a tent or park a camper, and you can bring your little kids or whatever. So that's how I first got there. They have their own chaplain on that side of the camp, and so I was called one year, and they said, "Look, here's the deal. If you come and do this, you'll have to do a daily devotion in the morning. You'll have to do a daily Bible study Monday through Friday. You'll lead one evening worship Thursday evening down on the beach, some kind of a Vespers, and you'll be responsible for one Sunday worship, which is the biggest worship service I ever do or ever had done, because they get about 500 people in this outdoor chapel, all the kids that are there on the kids' side of the camp, and then most of the families also come. Beautiful kind of semicircular benches under the pines, and it's wonderful. And here when it comes time to do communion, all of these young people and teens and preteens, streaming forward reverently to receive the Eucharist and singing these great camp songs and everything. So they said to me, that's what you're responsible for. The afternoons are pretty free. You can go off if you want. You can relax on the beach if you want. Take a nap, whatever you want to do. And we'll give you a little trailer to stay in, you and your family, and we'll provide food at the conference center. Our particular camp is a year-round program with a full conference center. They do men's and women's weekends. They do quilt making weekends. They do icon writing weekends. They do a confirmation camp in the spring. So the conference center is fully used year-round. and they provide great food. So they said, we'll give you, you and your family, we'll get the trailers to stay in and the food to eat and this kind of minimalist schedule. So it's almost like a vacation. It is for them, and it almost is for you. And neither my wife nor I had ever been to church camp. When I was a kid, I was in 4-H, and I went to a 4-H camp several summers. But I never went to a church camp. So I accepted that, and we went up. It was not a good start. It rained when we got there, and the trailer was kind of there were some rodents in there, and we went straight to a nearby LL Bean and got ourselves a tent, and we became tent campers. But we quickly fell into the rhythm of that place, and it changed our lives. It certainly changed our kids' lives, because our kids started on that side of the road in that family camp before they were old enough to go to the kids' sleepover camp. When they got old enough, they did go every summer to the kids' sleepover camp. When they got old enough, they became CITs, counselors in training. Then they became counselors. And so it's not just fun. I mean, these people their characters are being shaped, their faith is being shaped. It's a very faith-based program. They, as they grow, they learn how to organize devotions. They learn all kinds of practical things. All the life-saving skills for beach duties. There's wilderness first aid that they learn for taking people on hikes and all. I mean, it's really shaping, and it also shaped their lifelong friendships, and even helped them decide where to go to college and things. By the way, I should mention that in our tradition, we've discovered, probably not too surprising when you think about it, that they're almost all pastors in our denomination either were exposed to some kind of campus ministry, which I'll talk about another day, or one of these outdoor ministries. Those two experiences so shape the faith of many people that they never quite go back to a way of thinking about faith as sort of different from the rest of life or something. I mean, they help deepen faith and commitment, and so a lot of people go from there into some kind of ministry, professional or otherwise. So we did. We took advantage of Camp Calumet year-round. We went up in the wintertime. They did one year there was a dog sled that took people out on the frozen lake. I learned to snowshoe up there. We went up one year when there was a sugar and off weekend, so we would spend the early part of the weekend making maple syrup, and then on Sunday morning that syrup was what we put on our pancakes, before we got headed home for back to our regular lives. The outdoor ministry here in New England is not limited to the camp. The camp is great. We always loved it. We had a whole set of friends that we saw, because we'd go pitch our tent the same week every summer, and there would be a whole group of people who had the same kind of schedule, and so we really would look forward to seeing each other and all of that. But our outdoor ministry is bigger than that. So they also have a program in which they will send a team of people to do vacation Bible school in a church. And a couple of times I've seen that play out to great effect. They also sponsor something called Hammonasset, which is a weekend camp out at Hammonasset State Park here in Connecticut in the fall. So that's more like for high schoolers and confirmation age kids mostly. And they do, as I say, they do a year-round program at the camp that covers many things besides camping. Just all kinds of meditation and scripture studies, and they sponsor many synod events, conflict resolution events, and the like. So when we support our church, most of the support goes to the congregation where you make your offering, but some of it goes out to the synod, and some of it goes to the national church. And these are the types of ministries that get supported, or at least partially so, by those offerings. They very, very meaningful. Again, it's not just, let's send the kids off so they can, learn a few camp songs or, something like that. It's a deepening, enriching experience of faith. and also the skills as they grow toward counselor in training, for example, and then counselor, the skills of how to work with, how do you work with kids that are homesick? How do you work with kids who, if there's somebody who has some sort of bullying issue going on, or how do you deal with people who, are coming from very, very different backgrounds and learning to live together for a few days. It's powerful, very powerful and meaningful. If you've never been to Camp Calumet here in New England, or if you're farther away, some other local church camp, this is an experience that's probably something you'd like to look into. So I'm a fan, big fan, of our particular camp here in New England, and cannot overstate how much they have shaped our personal lives. We went, I can't remember how many years we went. We stopped after the kids left the house, and I also started a new ministry that was more time consuming, and we just didn't have quite as much free time in the summer to go up in camp ourselves. But I mean, the stories are just endless. Funny ones, touching ones, powerful experiences, and so the outdoor ministries across our church body, at least, are one of the kind of perhaps less celebrated than they should be. And the people, the particular staff who run our particular camp, I've come to know very, very well over the years. Marvelous, marvelous people. Very dedicated and very good at what they do. So, be proud that our church is able to support such ministries. And if you have some possibilities for some vacation time and maybe aren't too sure, the conference center, for example, at our place, you don't have to have a tent or a fancy camping trailer. You can rent very inexpensively space in the conference center, a bedroom with an attached bath, and eat in the conference center. The food, again, marvelous. And it's a great place. You can do side trips that, just are fun. I mean, it's like an hour ride over to Freeport, Maine, to the coast, to get a lobster or do LL Bean over there or something like that. It's very close to the hiking trails in the White Mountains. And so there's a cog railway there. You could take a side trip to Mount Washington, things like that. So it's a very good experience. And it's also a great place to experience nature in a different way, because a lot of our folks don't grow up in what I would call a nature-rich environment as much as it could. The one thing, though, I tell you, they must have like 30-pound whippoorwills up there. I don't know how big these birds are, but man, oh man, are they loud at night. But all the critters that you might expect at a camp in New Hampshire come through. I was sitting up one night very late, just watching the fire burn down to embers and sitting in a camp chair and outside under the stars and loving the whole moment when out of the corner of my eye I saw movement, and here comes a skunk, walking right under my chair, just kept walking. I thought it was best probably to do nothing, and I did nothing, and all was well. But I mean, the exposure to nature, it also is part of our deepening appreciation of creation and of God's majestic and mysterious work. May God bless you this day with whatever ministries of the church have touched your lives, and may God help you to find ways to support these many ministries that so shape, especially our younger people, as they come up. Peace to you this day.